children worked too.
Uh-huh.
So everybody worked in Sunnyvale.
Mm-hmm.
And to do the harvest, you know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, but it was a work time, but a fun time
Mm-hmm. Being with your
because we
family.
enjoyed it.
Uh-huh. Being
Like
together.
cutting apricots, we used to sing going to the orchard, and at night when we came home, we all sang down the street and on Pastoria.
Uh-huh.
You know, because it was a get together with people, with friends we know, because the children actually cut the apricots because their parents were working in the cannery,
Okay.
and so that's what we did during the summer.
Did you have any neighbors that were close friends?
Oh yeah, we had lots of neighbors
Mm-hmm.
because we knew a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tight community.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those people were friends of the family that came from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we shared a lot that they don't do now.
Mm-hmm.
You shared everything,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
We got a bucket of cherries every year, and they shared the fruit,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Uh-huh.
So we didn't know in a way that there was a depression, but but later on when we were older, because at that time, that's when in Oklahoma and that areas they were having the bus storms
Mm-hmm.
and
Dust Bowl.
Dust Bowl.
Okay.
And so they were coming into California with their mattresses and all that aboard, and we used to say, "Here come the Okies."
Which Aunt
But-
Ruth was one of those.
Oh.
But it was so much, you know, they became our neighbors and friends.
Uh-huh.
So in years past, if I'm saying this correctly, as we grew older, we thought of those days, and yet we seemed to survive everything.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So,
'Cause you had each other. Did great-grandma talk much about coming over to America?
when my mother when my mother and her family came to the United States, my grandmother did not want to come. But since her father, her husband and son were here,
Mm-hmm.
they had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
So they came by ship. It took them 3 weeks to come by ship.
Uh-huh.
And they landed in, sometimes you get the picture by checking that the ship landed in Rhode Island, according to Carolyn. And they they had a nephew coming with her, and he had exchanged the money, the Spanish money for American money.
Uh-huh.
And but he was illegal, so he was sent back.
Oh. He was
And-
illegal
and-
to Spain?
Yeah. And see, when they separate the people, you know, as you get off the ship,
Uh-huh.
they
men.
separate.
Uh-huh.
The men on one side and the women on the other.
Uh-huh.
So when they sent him back, he took all the money that was, you know,
Uh-huh.
and so they had a little hardship because they had no money. They had a little bit, but they didn't have a lot.
Uh-huh.
So they had to see what they could use the money they had to stretch.
Uh-huh.
So they decided to buy bread.
Uh-huh.
And my mother, who was young, my mother was only 14 years old
Okay.
when she came. And so she was the one that went to buy the bread.
Uh-huh.
And she came with on her apron, she had all the bread.
Uh-huh.
And her sisters wouldn't even get near her. But see, they also had friends. It happened to them.
Uh-huh.
And so they had to share the bread with them also.
Uh-huh.
But then they sort of sent a telegram to my grandfather and uncle in Jackson.
Uh-huh.
And so they sent back money for them to have someone at each station. They came by railroad all the way from
New York.
Rhode Island or Boston
Uh-huh.
to Jackson, California.
So they sent money to the different stations?
Yeah, and they had someone there that would speak for them.
So how would you wire money back then?
The what?
How did you wire money back then? Do you know? How do you wire money? Do you know that?
Well, you could send a telegram.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Way back in those days, they still had telegrams.
Okay.
Yeah, more
Okay.
so than phone.
But they had to stay in Rhode Island for a while till.
No, no, they didn't.
Oh.
Just as soon as they got,
Everything ready.
yeah, because where were they going to stay?
Yeah.
And I don't ever remember my mother saying they stayed at a hotel.
Yeah.
And Grandma was 14.
Mm-hmm. She said that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's okay. Okay. Do you want to take a break at all, or are you good?
Yeah, I'll take 5.
Oh, perfect.
There was no TV, and there was,
Hey, you gotta save it for the film.
I'm starting it because she's talking.
there was no TV or a radio. Then we did actually what you did.
Plays?
Make a play. You remember when you and your brothers did a play for Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we used to do too.
Mm-hmm.
And for my grandmother in Jackson, that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
Because we used to, I don't know if you remember, Little Orphan Annie and Jack Armstrong, and then it came out, it was a series.
Uh-huh.
And they would come on the radio at a certain time, and when we were outside playing, we knew what time it came on. We would all run home to listen to it.
To listen on the
Yeah.
radio.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was so much fun, And then, like I said before, we spent 3 months in Jackson. Okay, there was really nothing to do when you come right out, So what we used to do on a winter day, we used to go out and pick mushrooms and watercress, and we would also check birds, and we learned about snakes,
Mm-hmm.
different types of snake, because see, in Jackson, there's a lot of rattlers.
Uh-huh.
So they sort of taught you, in a way, where you could find a rattler and so forth,
Uh-huh. Would you eat the snake?
No, no. No, we just, they wanted to warn us about snakes.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it was fun in a way because we were outdoors a lot. And we knew about trees and the toyon berries. That's where I learned about the toyon berries because they had, just like here, this country. I mean, there were toyon berries all over.
Mm-hmm.
and it was something that we treasured in a way, but we thought it was no fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I remember my grandmother and uncle were raising a pig, and when and there was an outhouse, you know, because they didn't have indoor plumbing. So the outhouse and pig pen were close by. So, and the tin roof came over from the outhouse. So we would sit there and listen to the rain hit and watch the pig for entertainment, you know. And pine needles, pine needles, the little pine.
Yeah.
Okay, we used to go looking for them too.
Uh-huh.
But they were so hard to crush, and once you crush one, you would crush the meat in a way.
Are you
A
talking about
walnut?
acorns? Acorns?
Walnuts?
No,
Or walnuts?
Pine nuts?
Pine nuts?
Pine nut.
Oh.
Pine
Yeah.
nuts.
That's why they're so expensive.
Yes, because you have to, I don't know how they do it, but
Uh-huh.
you know, it's true what you say, you couldn't buy them
Uh-huh.
then.
Uh-huh.
But we used to go looking for them too.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And anything that we could get from nature, we sort of found.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I don't know, there's so much that you tend to forget
That's okay.
about. But you know, in those days, people grew a lot of things and animals and things like that, and that they don't anymore. You know, and we knew how to feed the chickens,
Uh-huh.
and we knew how to buy the feed.
Uh-huh.
But you didn't buy a big sack of feed because you couldn't afford it. So we used to make trips to the feed store
Uh-huh.
and buy maybe a bag of feed to feed our chickens.
Uh-huh.
And I think once or twice we raised turkeys.
Okay.
Yeah. But we always went to Jackson for Thanksgiving.
At Great Church.
With grandmother.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We spent our time there because that was the time that school gave you vacation.
Uh-huh.
So, and we had quite a few people that came with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, riding in the car was was something. We used to have a macaroni, you know, those little boxes where they have macaroni in them,
Uh-huh.
you know, packaged.
Uh-huh.
We used to have those boxes in the car to sit on because we were so many. We had to have something there for all of us to. There was Grandpa, Grandma, Aunt Dolores, her 2 children, and the 3 of us. And it was, I mean, and then we all got car sick. So you can imagine
Yeah.
what it was.
So when was Aunt Chot born?
She was born July 5th, and I don't remember the date. She's 13 years older than me, so
She's 13 years younger.
13
Okay.
from 25 is 38.
Okay.
That's when
Okay.
Aunt Chop was born.
Okay.
July 5th, 1938.
Okay. So you were getting into high school then, huh?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Because I went into high school in 1940.
Okay. And did you go to Sunnyvale High? No, you
No, I went to Fremont High
Fremont.
School.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Fremont High School was the only school between Cupertino and Sunnyvale
Okay.
and Monte Vista.
Uh-huh.
And we all loved going to school. You didn't find hardly anybody staying home
Uh-huh.
from high school.
Did they blend the grades together?
What do you mean by that?
Did you have a freshman year, a sophomore, a junior, and a
just
senior?
like you did
Just like
when you
normal.
went to school.
Uh-huh.
The only thing is that when you graduated from grammar school, you had some that graduated in February and some graduated in June. So
Okay.
when they went to high school, it depended if they took all their credits.
Oh.
They graduated just like we did.
Okay. Okay.
But in 1940, was it 1941, when war broke out?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was a sophomore, and I was fixing my hair, and the radio was on, and it said Pearl Harbor has been bombed.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, because we didn't have anybody that had been in the service, but then they started the draft, and a lot of our boys went. And in our class that graduated in 1944, we had, I think it was 12 or 13 flags on a chair for the boys that had gone to war. That would have graduated with us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really a little depressing, but
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that they wanted to
Uh-huh.
have.
Uh-huh.
And so, just to honor them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
But high school was a lot of fun. I mean, we used to share a Coke.
A what? A
A
Coke?
Coke. A
Uh-huh.
5-cent Coke, maybe 3 people, because we didn't have any money.
Uh-huh.
So we used to share that.
Uh-huh.
And then also, Treasure Island had a fair.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
Uh-uh.
Oh, the fair in Treasure Island was beautiful. And what happened, your grandfather said,
Great-grandfather.
this is very educational.
Great-grandfather.
Great.
Uh-huh.
This is very educational. Are you going to put it on?
No, it's still going. I just wanted
Okay,
to check.
it's very educational, and I'm going to take the children to see the fair. It costs 50 cents a piece to get in,
Uh-huh.
and we saw
The state fair.
Hawaii.
No, the World
You
Fair.
know, they had a what do you call it?
Oh, at Treasure... So this was the World Fair at Treasure Island?
It wasn't called the World's Fair, but it was a fair.
Uh-huh.
And it was the most beautiful because of the flowers and the trees that we had in California.
Uh-huh.
A lot of oak trees went to the fair,
Uh-huh.
you know, and then the fruit,
Uh-huh.
you know, that we raised in California.
Uh-huh.
But it was, and if you remember, if I can remember, seen a movie where she was a swimmer.
Esther Williams. Esther Williams.
Esther Williams in a
Mhm.
movie. Well, she was a champion swimmer. So they called it the Avocade or something.
Aqua.
Yeah.
Aqua.
What's her? I don't know. I can't remember things.
Well, Esther Williams, she
Yeah,
did the
Esther
synchronized
Williams.
swimming. She did
Yeah,
Oh.
we went to see
synchronized.
her, and it was a lot of fun. And for us being in high school, we sort of all stuck. Groups. We stuck together, and we took a lunch because we couldn't afford to buy lunch there.
Uh-huh.
So we some of them did. I'm not saying all of us, but
Yeah.
some of us did because in our family there was I think 4 of us went, so that was quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And but we got to see Hawaii, and we got to see the plane that lands on water. Seaplane.
Oh, a seaplane? Uh-huh.
Yeah, we got to see that.
And Johnny Weissmuller? Didn't
And
you
Johnny Weissmuller, yeah.
see- He played
Yeah,
Tarzan.
we got to see
Oh.
that.
Tell
And
me, he
Sally
played-
ran.
At school?
And
At
Sally
school?
ran.
No, Johnny Weissmuller played Tarzan in the movies,
Uh-huh.
and that's who they saw at the World's Fair.
Oh,
Johnny
at the World's-
Weissmuller. And then
Uh-huh.
Sally Rand danced with the feathers.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, and it was the most beautiful thing. We just loved it.
Uh-huh.
And then that's what we went with my father. And I did put in a little bit about, we also went by school. The school took school buses up there with children.
Uh-huh.
And we paid 50 cents to go.
Uh-huh.
And it was really a paradise, really, when you think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because coming from a farming community, the farm, like Stanford called us,
Uh-huh.
and going to Treasure Island, I could see it now.
Mm-hmm.
And it put a lot of effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they had different folk dancing and things like that, just like a regular fair
Uh-huh.
that you see. Yeah.
And carnival
So,
food.
Carnival, yeah, the carnival was, well, who doesn't go to the carnival when you're young? So, but
So can you tell me about when you met Grandpa?
I met your grandfather in 1945. I asked my future brother-in-law that I wanted a blonde escort.
For the wedding. For the wedding.
Yeah,
Not an
for
escort.
the wedding. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and so I met him at the wedding.
He was your partner.
And because they were stationed in Alameda,
Together.
my husband that I met and my brother-in-law, they were all
Aunt
stationed
Babes?
in Alameda.
Not
no,
Aunt Babes?
no.
Tita Lane's husband.
Oh, Tita Lane's husband.
Tita Lane's husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aunt Babe was still in grade school.
Oh, that's right.
You know.
Okay. Okay.
So tell him about how you met him.
What?
How you met him, that you guys were
Oh,
so-
I met him at the wedding, and he was my partner. And when the ceremony was getting on, I thought he was getting fresh, because, but it wasn't. He was getting fresh. He was going to pass out. so they
hanging
drug
on
him
to
out.
Oh, because you guys would stand as couples.
Yeah.
And he
Instead
was
of,
hanging on to her.
So did they have to carry him out?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it was so nice because when they drug him out, one of the servicemen came and took his place. Yeah, yeah, which was nice because we were, when you walk out with somebody.
With someone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
And then what made you decide to go on a date with him?
well, I didn't go on a date with him for a while because Alameda is about I think 35 or 40 miles from
Sunnyvale?
Sunnyvale.
Uh-huh.
So he used to come once in a while to visit with us,
Uh-huh.
and that's how it really started.
Uh-huh.
And then he was transferred to Moffett,
Oh.
and I happened to work at that time at Moffett, but I never saw him on the base.
Uh-huh. What did you do at Moffett? What was your job?
I was a clerk typist.
Okay.
That's what I did at Moffett.
On the typewriter?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was no computer.
Oh, well, I know that. So did you end up seeing him there, or?
No, the main reason, so sailors were not allowed into our office. And Moffett is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And you have three now I forgot what they are. Three where they keep all the planes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was
the hangar? The hangar?
hangar, right, honey. And the hangar, he was in hangar 2 or 3, and that was at least a mile away or so.
Uh-huh.
And in those days, you just didn't go where you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
There was security.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
I never saw him at Moffett.
Okay. But after he moved back, did he ask you out formally on a date?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then-
we went out on dates.
Where'd they
And your father wasn't a type of person that liked to go to a lot of things. And in those days, we did a lot of dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And your father didn't like dancing.
So
Your
where
father,
would you
your
where
grandfather.
would you go?
Huh?
What would you do then if he didn't like dancing?
Dancing in what did I do?
What
Yeah.
kind of dates would you do
Well,
go on because he doesn't like dancing?
I
What
don't
did you
get
guys do together?
Where did you guys go if he
To
didn't
San
like
Jose.
dancing? To San Jose?
Yeah, they had about 3 or 4 dance places
Oh, I guess he did.
that you could go to.
So would he dance or no?
Oh, well, he didn't go.
I don't know the hell they got together.
He went once.
So would you mostly just go on dates to eat?
And even then wasn't much.
He was a cheap date.
Okay.
When you're on a serviceman pay, you don't get that much money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So and then their work is different too,
Mm-hmm.
and they have duty and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he did come with his motorcycle quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And she remembered
Yeah.
that.
Because he didn't have a car then.
So you rode on the motorcycle?
No.
No.
Once.
Once.
We went because the Navy and Berkeley football team played the Navy, and what happened? He went to his crew. They went to Washington and picked up the football players, the Navy football players, and they gave them tickets to go to the football game. And that's the reason we went to Berkeley, and I went to Berkeley on the motorcycle. It was cold.
So that was your first and last time?
My first and last time.
Uh-huh. Do you remember how he asked you to marry him?
Well, it was sort of crazy. He said, "What do you think of having a Goldberg for your name?"
Do you remember what you said?
I said, "What do you mean?" I don't know what I said, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh. Do you remember where you were?
Oh,
When he asked
we
you?
were in an apple orchard.
Oh. On a
Yeah.
date?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And when did you get married?
We got married May 16, 1948.
And where did you get married at?
We got married at Moffett Field,
Okay.
California. Had my blood test done there. And
Oh, that's right.
yeah,
You had
we
to
had
do that.
my blood test done there, and then we went to San Jose to get our license.
Uh-huh.
And then we were married at Moffett.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that little chapel.
Okay.
The same chapel that Tita Carey and Uncle Tom
Oh.
got married.
Tita Carey and Uncle Tom got married there too?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn and Uncle Tom got married there. And we didn't have a reception there at our wedding.
Uh-huh.
We had it at Cervantes, Spanish Hall in Sunnyvale.
Okay. And how many people did you have?
I hate to tell you, over 200.
Oh my gosh! Well,
And
you
so
had
I had
a lot of family, and then the
A lot of
service.
family, and
Uh-huh.
you got to remember, we lived in a small town.
Yeah.
And then my father knew people in Monterey, people in San Francisco,
Mhm.
people in San Leandro. So, everybody gets invited to the wedding.
So did great grandpa pay for it?
Well, what happened in those days, people all prepared the food.
Okay.
So everybody prepared the food before the wedding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you
And
just
so-
have to
and-
pay for the place
Yes.
rental.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I had a wedding cake that was donated. And I'll tell you about the wedding cake. We had all those people, and when my mother saw the wedding cake, because it was donated,
Mhm.
she almost died because it wasn't that big.
Uh-huh.
And she says, "How am I going to feed all these people?" And what happened, one of my school friends, he helped me get the wedding songs and things like that together.
Uh-huh.
And so he said, "Mrs. Padilla, I'll take care of it." So he took care of the wedding cake.
Uh-huh.
But we had dancing and everything.
Uh-huh. And now grandpa passed out at those
Oh
ceremonies?
yeah, I forgot to mention that when we were getting married, my husband passed out. And sometimes later in years I says, "I wish he had passed out and stayed out."
Ask what grandpa
But
did.
my father went to make sure he came back.
Well, when did he pass out? Was it after
When
you
the service was going, because the flowers
Uh-huh.
and that, and he was always one that something like that would make. Well, see, he passed out at Tita Lynn's
Uh-huh.
wedding.
Uh-huh.
But it was so funny because, when you drag, well, my father wasn't a big man,
Uh-huh.
and so he drugged the feet, and you could hear the noise going on. And one lady thought he had malaria,
Okay.
and she cried through the whole ceremony.
Oh. So then did he wake back up and come back up to say I do?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, he did come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he pass out any more at the reception?
No,
No.
it just wasn't, you know, it takes a lot out of you, too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
No,
So, did you guys live at Moffett?
no,
No.
no, we lived at home
Okay.
because there was no housing.
In the
Uh-huh.
back of Grandma's house.
Oh, in the back of Grandma's house? Great Grandma's
No,
house?
not at that time. I had my own bedroom,
Oh.
and we lived there for a while till Grandpa finished the house in the back that he was building.
Okay.
And then when the house in the back was completed, then we moved in there.
And how?
Because in those times after the war, there was hardly any housing.
Mhm.
And you gotta remember that all these servicemen that lived in Arkansas and that wanted to stay in our area.
Uh-huh.
So they got married to some of the girls that lived there.
Uh-huh.
So they had to have a house to live in.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, did you live with Grandpa in the back house for a while? Or when did
Yeah, for a short while because it wasn't really completed until February or March.
you? Uh-huh.
And then your grandfather was, they transferred him to Germany. And
Oh.
he went on the airlift,
Uh-huh.
you know, for a month or two. He
Okay.
was there for that airlift. You know what it is about.
Uh-uh.
The airlift is when they were transporting coal from the east to the west side of Germany.
Okay.
I might get them confused
Okay.
for those people because you remember they had a blockade, the wall.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Okay, you heard about the wall.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's where Grandpa went. Their
Oh.
group,
Uh-huh.
their squadron, because they're
Okay.
in a squadron.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did. He was there. And then when he came home from Germany, that's when we went to Hawaii.
Hawaii. Okay.
I went to Hawaii in October, but he was there already.
And what year was that?
That was in 49.
49. Okay.
Yeah,
And when did you have Chris?
in 49.
In 49. So were you already pregnant before you left and you
Yeah.
traveled over there? How did you take a plane? Did you take a plane from San
Well, see,
Francisco?
the service would not send me because I was almost 8 months.
Oh,
And so I took a plane from Oakland to
uh-huh.
Hawaii,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And what island in Hawaii?
Oahu,
Oahu.
because Pearl Harbor
Harbor
is
is
in Oahu.
Oahu.
But he wasn't stationed in Pearl Harbor. He was stationed in can I
Hickam?
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 You're right, honey. Hickam Field.
Uh-huh.
Because he was with transports, and it was Air Force and Navy.
Uh-huh.
So Hickam, it was an Air Force base.
And how long was he at Hickam?
He was there 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Did you like living in Hawaii?
No,
No.
no,
Because you weren't with your family.
that's right.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of the women, for that length of time,
Mm-hmm.
if it's for 2 years, they know they're only going to be there 2 years, so
Mhm.
they get transferred someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
But see, your grandfather re-enlisted there, so they stayed there because the duty was very good,
Uh-huh.
you
Uh-huh.
know. And that's when the Korean War broke out, and that's
Oh.
when, you know,
Uh-huh.
so then the Vietnamese War broke out,
Uh-huh.
but we were already gone from there by
Uh-huh.
then,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Now, Tita Carey was born there.
There was 3 born there.
Well, but did you leave to go to Florida before, or?
No, we
No.
went to Florida we went from Hawaii to California. We were there a short time,
Uh-huh.
and they were going to put your grandfather back on a carrier,
Uh-huh.
and he asked for stateside duty,
Uh-huh.
and that's when we went to Florida.
Uh-huh.
And your mother was only a year and a half
Uh-huh.
when we went to Florida.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And then didn't you say something about going back to Hawaii?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went back to Hawaii.
After Florida?
Yeah, because see, you're usually at a station or or field
Mm-hmm.
for 2.5 years or 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then they transfer you someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not there forever,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but
Then we went
And-
back to Hawaii.
yeah.
Mhm.
And we came to California, and your grandfather asked for that duty.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to a helicopter. He was
Uh-huh.
in a helicopter field.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That I used to call that sand crab country. Can we take a break?
Yes.
You're doing good, Mama.
Yeah, you're doing real good.
Huh? We
Lay
had
down.
But she did talk a little
bad
bit about that.
winter.
Lay down.
Duke, lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Okay, we're back. Lay down. Lay down.
Oh, he will. Okay.
Okay. So you wanted to start with Grandpa?
Okay. In 1949, my husband, their crew from Moffett Field had to go and deliver hay for the cattle. And so he spent about 2 or 3 weeks doing that.
In Germany.
And later on, they transferred him to the airlift in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to Frankfurt. And that's where they were transporting coal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was from the west side to the east side,
Mm-hmm.
across the wall. And he was there only about 2 months, and then they transferred them out of there. And I believe it was in June or July that he was shipped to Honolulu.
Uh-huh.
And he was stationed at Hickam Field.
Hickam.
He was with Transport,
Okay.
VR8.
Okay.
That was his outfit. And at that time, I was home, and I had gotten pregnant, and I was going to have a baby in November.
Okay.
And the service would not take me over because I was 8 months. So I flew from Oakland to Honolulu.
Mm-hmm.
And in November, we had our first child, a baby girl named Christy. And what was so funny about this was that we didn't have an automobile at the time. And I think my husband borrowed one, and we had nothing to put the baby in. So on our way from the hospital
Coming home.
to take the baby, we had to stop at Sears, and I bought a clothes basket so that we can use that to keep the baby in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we stayed downtown. Well, we were down the beach area of Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
And then eventually we got a house in Pearl Harbor.
Uh-huh.
And it was a cottage like. It was
Mhm.
very small, just a one bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And we lived there for a while, and then we moved on to a bigger house with 2 bedrooms. Most of our life in Hawaii was spent at the beach. And I think I got tired of the beach before my husband did, because when we came home from the beach, it was sand, sand, sand. And so, you have to give the children all a bath before you can send them out to play again.
Mhm.
And red dirt, a lot of red dirt in
Mhm.
Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
and red dirt stain.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was, the children loved Hawaii, and so did my husband. We spent a lot of time, we knew every nook and crook on that island. A lot of it. A lot of the island, servicemen could not participate because of the undertow. And then there was beaches there for just service personnel.
Mm-hmm.
Like other people could not go to that beach.
Mm-hmm.
And so my last child that was born there was Ray, and she was a year I believe a year and so many days, and we were going back to California.
Uh-huh.
And then we were in California, I guess, 6 months, and then we were transferred to Pensacola.
Where did we live
Florida.
while we were there?
Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah, the Panhandle, where the Panhandle is, and
Okay.
we're near
That's the top
the
of
Gulf.
The
Florida.
top?
The top
Okay.
square
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
handle.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's what they call the Panhandle.
Mm-hmm.
And we lived there for 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were transferred back to Hawaii. And then later, when we lost our child, we came back to California. And Goldie he only had maybe 6 or 7 months left for his getting out of the service.
Uh-huh.
20
So,
years.
Yeah.
Oh, you worked 20
years.
years? Oh, wow.
And we did a lot of traveling. We visited a lot of parks, and we always went to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw all the parks. We went to Montana.
Now, why did you go to Minnesota? Why did you always go to Minnesota?
We went to Minnesota to visit my husband's family.
Mm-hmm.
But on our way to Minnesota, we stopped at every park. We visited the, if I can remember, Yellowstone. We spent a week in Yellowstone,
Uh-huh.
and then we went to the Great Tetons.
Oh,
They were so beautiful.
Mhm.
To me, the Tetons are sort of telling you, come and see us, come and see us.
Mhm.
Well, it's quite a ride to go up to the Tetons.
Did you go up to the Teton?
No,
Oh,
we
okay.
didn't go up to
Yeah.
the Teton. I wanted to go up on the ski lift,
Uh-huh.
but Grandpa didn't want to, so. And then from there, we went to Montana. because Goldie had an aunt and uncle in Montana, and we always visited them on our way. And so we spent probably 4 or 5 days with them, and it was wonderful. And then we went to Minnesota. Oh, we went to Roosevelt Park. No, to the Bad Hills or Black Hill.
Black Hills Gold.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and we went to those. What was the animal?
Oh,
The
the prairie dogs.
The what?
The prairie dogs.
No.
The gophers. Chipmunks.
Where you lost your money.
The prairie dogs.
Where the
Go sit
prairie
by her.
dogs. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. My daughter's coaching me to get the prairie dogs, and she had one of those containers, the Kodak,
Film.
and filled with money. She lost it in one of those, and she put her arm clear through again. And so when we got to Minnesota, and she told her grandfather about it, he gave her the money.
Some quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we went to, from there, well, we met the family, and then we had a lot of picnics and that in Minnesota. You gotta stop it, because I can't go any further.
What was I gonna ask? Oh, but you guys used to like skiing, right?
Like what?
You used to like skiing?
No, they didn't ski in Minnesota.
No, but you would go skiing on your trips, right?
No,
No.
Oh, Dad would take us skiing.
yeah. But skiing was here in California.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so you're all done? Okay. That's good,
There's
Grandma.
so much you can
I
put.
know.
And
Say,
I
okay.
don't care.
Say goodbye.
You gotta do it in two.
Okay.
You want to say goodbye?
You want to say bye-bye?
Then we went to Niagara Falls.
Uh-huh.
That was another trip because we visited every park we could.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Niagara Falls. And my husband got a headache, so we couldn't do much at Niagara Falls. It's walk through Quebec and get ice cream and look at the falls, but they were beautiful. And we were on the Canadian side, and you see more from the Canadian side than you do
Oh.
from the American side.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, we went to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we stopped at any park from
Well, we
there.
visited that family that had all those kids.
Yeah. We stopped in Pennsylvania at a farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent a week with them.
Mm-hmm.
They were a friend of Goldie's.
Does he want to go out?
Of Goldie's who, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to let
Okay.
the dog out. Come on, June. Let's go.
A friend
We're a
of
friend of
Gold.
Goldie's from the service.
Okay.
That's who we went to visit.
Oh, and Grandpa got his nickname Goldie because
Because of his hair.
of his hair. Even
And-
though his last name was Goldberg, it was because
Yeah.
of his hair.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, that's all we can figure out.
Yeah. And how many great-grandchildren do you have right now?
5.
That's right. Yeah.
What are their names?
What are their names?
I'll start with the oldest, if I can think of it. Oh, Brody.
Mm-hmm.
Brody, and then, I think Brody, and then,
Olivia.
Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
And then Madeline,
Uh-huh.
and then Declan, and then Lucy.
Lucy. And Lucy is a year now, right?
She just turned
She
a
just
year.
turned a year.
In
The what?
November. October.
Lucy's 1 year now.
Yeah.
And Brody is 6.
Yeah,
So you've been a great grandma for over 6 years.
right.
Anything else, or are you good? Okay.
Okay, we're sort of completing now because I'm exhausted. There's so
Okay. So we wanted to talk about great grandpa.
Great-grandpa Padilla came to the United States when he was 19 years of age. And he worked his way from New York to California by traveling on the railroad cars. And when they got to Colorado, they had a little accident on the train. Somebody had killed somebody, and so they took them all out of the car and took them all to jail.
Oh
And he spent 1 day and 1 night in jail.
Oh my gosh! I didn't hear that one.
And on his way, then he started back to California, and he worked his way, like a day or two he'd work here, and another day another place else. And then he got back on the railroad train, and he landed close to Yosemite, and he worked for about a week in Hetchy Hetchy. That's the reservoir that sends the water to people in California, and mainly Sacramento and the Bay Area.
The Bay Area.
And then he made quite a bit of money working at Hetchy Hetchy, and he landed in Jackson, California. And he went into a gambling place and he lost all his money.
In Jackson?
In Jackson.
You want to tell the story?
And being he was Spanish and didn't speak much English, they probably guided him to my grandfather Padilla. No, Aparicio.
No.
Aparicio.
Yeah.
And he had started a boarding house, and so he took my dad there, and that's where my dad spent his time, at the boarding house. And then he went to work in the I believe he went to work at the Kennedy gold mine. And then he met my mother at that boarding house.
Oh!
And she was 14.
She was 14. Well, I think when he met her, she was closer to 15 and a half. And 16, yeah, because they were married at 16 years of age.
Okay.
Maria, did he always work at the Kennedy mine or did he work at the Argonaut?
I don't remember him saying anything about the Argonaut mine.
Well, you know, when the Kennedy mine had the big, when the miners
But he
all...
wasn't working there.
But he went through the Argonaut mine.
Well,
That's how they got the miners out, or went
no,
in.
they didn't get him
They didn't
out.
get them out, but they went in that way to try to save them.
Well, I don't
You're in the
remember
video,
hearing
FYI.
that.
Wasn't the Argonaut mine up by Grandma's house?
Yeah, that was up by Grandma's house. But see, they had already moved around a
Oh,
little.
had they?
Yeah, well, no, because Mother was still young. Mother wasn't married when that happened.
No.
Because she did go to the Argonaut mine when they had a big cave in.
Yeah.
And Grandpa wasn't working there, but we had several friends that were working there. But coming back to my father, Tony, his name was Antonio, but they called him Tony for short. And so he worked in the mines, and then we went from there to Scotia.
Why did you do that?
Because he didn't like working in the mine.
Okay.
So he wanted to get away from there. So he went to Scotia, and my sister Elaine were born before that time. And when we went to Scotia, my sister Babe was born. And she was a 12-pound baby.
And he was working for the Pacific.
He was working
Lumber.
in the lumber mill.
Yeah, Pacific
And-
Lumber,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
Now-
still there today.
Yeah. And
Now-
it was very nice. It was a country-owned little town.
It was a company,
Company-owned.
company-owned town. The
Okay.
lumber
It's a
yard owns the
company
whole
owned.
town.
Oh, okay.
To this day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still owned by
Uh-huh.
the company. And then she had a sister living in Sunnyvale, California. And so her sister wrote to her saying that they
Wait a minute, whose
had
sister?
work,
Whose sister?
work.
Whose sister?
His sister Madeline.
Oh, grandma's, mama's,
Huh?
mama's sister, not his sister.
No, yeah, my aunt, and so we came to Sunnyvale, and we crossed the ferry because the Golden Gate Bridge had not been built yet. We came in 1929 to Sunnyvale, California. My sister Babe was just 1 year old, and we were very poor, and it was a
The
time.
grapes of wrath.
It was a time when people were poor, but I will say this, like my mother and dad said, they shared things. They shared their food, they shared everything. And nowadays, people don't share that much. They don't care. And then my dad went to work in the cannery. And he was how shall I say this? He was a type of person that believed in the people speaking their mind to say what they felt about working conditions. And he was in the cannery, and he talked to people, telling them that they were working in water with their feet in water, and the safety conditions were very poor, and he just was the type of person that felt that people should speak up for themselves and not hold back. And I was sort of happy because he instilled in us to fight for our rights, and that is one thing that we still do. Could I take a break?
Grandma, could you wear this hat while you're doing it?
And he helped organize the union.
Yeah, he helped organize. He helped organize the union. Because he could speak Spanish, he talked to the people and told them how good it was to belong to the union, so they could all fight for what they
For
earned.
better wages, for better
Because
working
a
conditions.
can of fruit was too expensive to buy. a worker could not afford to buy that can of fruit.
The same can he had canned, or she
Yeah.
had canned.
And so he said, here we are, we're working on this, but we can't afford to buy it. So, and that's when people were striking a lot. The people would bring their fruit, and when there was a strike, and people brought their fruit, those strikers took the fruit off the truck and dumped them.
Oh.
And it was a shame, but that's, you gotta fight for what you think is right.
Yeah.
And so, so he was then put out to check the sewer, so we couldn't talk to people because the company didn't want them.
He was a rebel rouser. He didn't want it.
He didn't want it. And so then Grandpa spent one summer working in the sewer. And then the next year, he didn't work there. We went to work, our whole family,
Oh, and the
and
fruit.
my two aunts' family. We went to work at Nellie Sanchez's orchard. And we cut apricots, and we were, I believe, 7 years old or 8. We cut apricots, and from the apricots, that was about an 8-hour job.
Oh, yeah.
And we cut the fruit, and then after the apricot season was over, we picked prunes. And for anybody that knows anything about prunes, that job is terrible.
Yeah.
It is a terrible
Because you
job.
pick the prunes on your hands and knees.
You shoot
And,
the trees, yeah.
So, and then when you came home, you had dirt from your head to your toes.
Okay, we don't want to know where the dirt was.
And from there, then things continued to get a little better. The union and things made working conditions better and pay conditions better, but it took a long time.
Yeah.
And then we all went to school. And my dad was a stickler for us going to school. If you were sick, if you said you were sick, you spent the day in bed. There was no excuses. So either you're well or you're sick. So, and he taught us that.
Yeah.
And to be prompt. When we went to work, we were up early, we worked, and we went to bed early. So, but he did. I can think of a lot of things he did for me. I know that we used to have dinner, and being my aunt become a widow, and she lived with us with her 2 children. We would have dinner all together, and he always asked one question, and he went around to each of us to answer the question, to see what we thought of it. And we always had a little current events at the time, because that's when I learned what KKK was.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I learned that, and my sisters and cousins did the same thing.
So the question was always a different question each night?
Yes,
Okay.
he either said a question, see, she was too little. And she either, and he talked about current events, you know, and
He
then,
would love this time of our lives, right?
yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Because
he would
loved
have loved
politics, and
it,
he loved it.
but, and,
To see so many people involved. Because
Uh-huh.
never didn't get involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Not like they do now.
Yeah.
for us, our father instilled many things in us, and I know that if anything happened to us, we knew what we could do. If I said that lady said this to me and it was wrong and that, he says, okay, you go back and explain it to her and tell her why you felt that she was wrong.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was a wonderful, to be taught that.
Yeah.
Because then when we were older, we could go and defend ourselves.
Handle your own situation.
Yeah, we knew a little
Yeah.
bit of what to do.
Yeah.
And so I have to take a drink of water.
Oh, you're fine. I can edit things out too.
Huh?
No, but this is
I can-
important to have.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing?
What?
That she was the grandpa's pet.
What?
You were grandpa's pet.
Yeah, I was.
Aunt Babe tried. She kissed him. She'd sit on his lap and kiss him and hug him. But she was the pet.
Now,
Why
what
is
about
that?
for great grandma?
Huh?
I was.
You were.
No, I was the baby. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, she was a baby. She
Yeah.
got everything. We didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Times were better.
Times were better. That's right.
We
They
are.
were.
Those
So,
Here, this is what she got for Christmas.
He's a cold.
Now, when Tita Elaine was born, she was a twin, right?
she was, Tita Lane was, when she was born, the other section
Uh
did not develop.
huh. Okay.
Oh.
So
Okay.
they
So, it
took
wasn't-
that section, if you call
So
it
she
that.
didn't develop. Okay.
Yeah, and they took
Oh.
it to,
It's like a
they,
mess.
it's because she was in Jackson,
uh-huh.
and they took it to Sacramento to study it.
Oh, okay.
They wanted to
Oh.
know
I thought
why
they sent it to
that.
Stanford, Gloria.
Huh?
I thought they sent it to Stanford after
No,
that.
we didn't even know Stanford then.
No, I mean after Sacramento.
No, I don't know.
So
So-
so it wasn't a baby. It was
No.
just
It was
No,
just
it wasn't a baby.
It
It
was
was
like a mass of
beginning.
whatever.
It was beginning to be, yeah.
Oh,
Well, that makes,
Yeah.
but that makes it a little bit better
Yeah.
in a way
Yeah.
versus it being a stillborn.
Well, see, Auntie was only a 2-pound baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
She took
Yeah.
So she
all-
was 2 and
everything.
Tita Babe was 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10-pound difference.
And I was 9 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And she was 8.
8.
Yeah, she was 8. I was 9.
Uh-huh.
Aunt Babe was 12,
Uh-huh.
and Tita Lane was 2.
What was cousin Sally? 13 or 14?
No, she was a big baby too.
she was big
Yeah.
too.
Now, when was Tita
Tita
Lane,
Madeline?
did she come earlier than she was supposed to then?
Well, we
Being 2 pounds?
I think she did.
I think
Yeah.
my grandma was screwed up on all of us because I was supposed to be born in September and I came July 4th and I weighed 8 pounds. You can imagine if I came in September. I'd have come out and said, hi, mama, with a full set of teeth.
You gotta remember. You gotta remember the doctors in those days didn't tell you. You know.
No, she probably
They
didn't
just said
remember
9
when she,
months,
yeah,
but
but
they
she didn't
didn't.
remember when she had her last period.
Oh, she didn't remember any of that stuff.
She must have been 16 or 16 and a half.
When Elaine was born.
I was born, she was 18 years old.
Oh my gosh, the baby at 18.
Her
And
time was
she
And
already had
16, she
Tita-
already had Tita
And
Lane.
remember, Grandma said that when she had you and Tita Lane, she went to a picnic and she wanted to play the games and jump and do the tag and do the
Because she was so young.
and,
Yeah,
and
'cause
they
she liked to
said
play
they
baseball.
said no,
You
you
go.
got to go take care of those babies.
Yeah.
But she says, but I want to play. And they said no.
Yeah, because she loved that.
Yeah, they told
Yeah,
me
she
no.
loved baseball.
Remember when we went to Pigeon Point and she was out there playing baseball with
Was
us?
it Pigeon Point or Moss Landing?
No, Pigeon Point. Yeah.
I remember her telling me, I want to play, I want to play. No.
She loved the merry-go-round and all the carnival
Carnival
rides. She
rides.
loved the carnival
Yeah.
rides. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The
She-
twirl.
When Babe
Twirl?
No, the tilt-a-whirl.
Yeah,
Tilt-a-whirl.
and
Uh-huh.
when we went to, Babe and I went, and Mother went to,
Oh, I know. You went to
what was that?
the one down in Valencia.
Not the World's Fair?
No,
No.
the
Five Flags?
yeah,
Oh.
3 Flags over. the
Six
one-
Flags.
Yeah,
Six
right.
Flags.
We got on the canoe that came down. And
Oh,
I
you know,
sat
the
up-
water. The waterlog.
Uh-huh.
The one
Oh,
who-
uh-huh.
I sat up
Oh,
front.
yeah, Grandma would get on all that stuff.
Yeah, I sat up front.
Oh, you
Oh,
got
so-
so.
I said, oh, it'll be easy up front. I won't feel anything. Well, boy, that was the worst part.
You must have gotten all wet.
It's not only that, I was scared stiff. And my mother was having a ball.
Oh, yeah, she loved it.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah,
She
she
loved
loved it.
Grandma. I didn't know
Yeah.
she did stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Even after
Yeah.
having all the girls. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, she loved
Yeah.
all that stuff.
yeah.
Oh, that's a hard that she didn't get to do as much as she probably wanted at
So
a
she
young
did
age.
it in later years, you know.
Yeah, well, see, her
play.
early years, we were born, you know? And then 3 years later, Babe and I are 3 years apart. She had Babe.
Yeah.
So she was,
And then 10 years I came along. They thought 10-year break would bring a boy.
okay,
No.
you got my dad. He's
Well-
still a lot more. but,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, could you tell me some favorite memories you guys have between just you and your sisters?
But me,
You
well,
and
see,
your
my
sisters?
sister Annie, when I left for Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
you were what grade?
Well, let's see. When I went over to
It
Hawaii,
was 49.
49. Oh, well, let's see. I would have been 11 years old.
Uh-huh.
So what grade would I be in?
Oh,
You were
fifth
10
grade.
when you were 10 when Elaine got married,
Fifth
11.
grade or
and
yeah.
I got married 3 years after. So that was
If you left for Hawaii in 49, I was 11 years old. I was
Okay.
born in 38.
okay. My sister Babe and I spent more time together.
Of all, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Because Tita Lane had, when she got out of high school, she went to live in San Leandro with this family. And so my sister Babe and I were the ones, we were the hard workers of the family.
Well, all right, Gloria. Gloria, why did Elaine go to San Leandro? How did she know
Well,
them?
because Mary
How did she know
Perotti,
them?
Mary Perotti wanted her to come and live with them.
Okay, but how did she know them? How did she meet
Because
them?
we worked at, when we got to be 16 years old, we weren't 16,
Yeah.
but we went to work at the cannery,
Oh, yes, yes.
okay? And my sister and I had the same age, so they got us, and we weren't of age to work.
Uh-huh.
So they laid us off, and that's where my sister Elaine met this family.
Okay.
And then when she got out of high school, they wanted her to come and live with them.
Why?
And my father says, well, he you know, after you get out of high school, then the summer is over, there's no work. So he thought maybe that would be good, you know.
Mhm.
And so she went, and then war had broken out. And so she went to work at the
Alameda?
Alameda
Naval Air-
Airfield,
That's where she met Uncle Mitch.
where
Yeah.
she met Uncle Mitch.
And Uncle
And then,
Goldie.
and then my sister Babe and I, we worked at the cannery,
Mm-hmm.
and so as
were
minors, until we were
And
of
then what
age.
did you do with your paycheck?
Gave it to Grandpa,
The whole
the
paycheck.
whole paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
We none of us kept our money.
Yeah.
It was all given to the family, because I know Nikki says it's slave labor. No, it isn't. It's
No.
love labor.
Lovely.
Because you knew that if we didn't give it to the family, we wouldn't have anything to eat in the
Yeah.
winter. Because all that money went for food, paying rent, and doing all our family bills. And sometimes you had credit in the winter and paid it in the summer. And a lot of people don't understand that, but that's the way it was when we grew up.
Oh, yeah. That's
And
right.
then you learn that you can't have everything. I mean, when we went to school, we used to call the people that had all the fancy clothes and everything the 400s, and we were the low hundreds because we couldn't afford those beautiful sweaters and that. We had maybe 3 skirts and blouses, and we did our own ironing and our own washing. We ironed our clothes, and we polished our shoes, and we went to school with white shoes. And then we had gym clothes, and every Friday we took our gym clothes home because on Monday when we got dressed, the teacher inspected us to
Yeah,
make sure
we had
that
to
our
have them
clothes
ironed.
were clean.
I remember that. We had to
Yeah.
have them ironed and all
Yeah.
in what I was.
And so, you know, you go with the program. I mean, life is the way life is, and you can't change it, you know?
No.
And, but we had a wonderful time. We used to have home parties where everybody danced and sang and shared what they had. And now everybody thinks money has to buy everything. Well, no, you can be as poor as mice and still have lots of fun if you make it that way. And that's why we met a lot of people in Sunnyvale, and it has changed so much that you go to town, you don't know anybody, nobody says hello or how are you or anything else, and it makes you feel unhappy.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And a lot of young people, they forget that old people love for them to just say hello, how are you?
Gloria, tell her about the time you guys all went to the funeral.
When we were young, we did a lot of exploring. We wanted to see what things were like.
And there was all the cousins and them, you know, they were all about the same. Not
11
me.
cousins.
We decided a lady next door across the street died, and in those days they marched, the funeral.
You marched in the
Behind
street,
to the-
behind the
to-
casket.
To the funeral home.
Yeah, to the funeral home, and then from there they went to the cemetery. So some man says, you people want to go to the cemetery, you kids want to go, and we said yes. We got in the car and went to the cemetery.
They were dirty. They were all dirty. Because they had been playing outside.
And when we got there and got out of the car, my father saw us. He came and he put us all in their car. And when we got home, my father didn't believe in spanking. We got a lecture. The lecture was
Right,
worse
the
than
lecture,
who
yeah.
spanked us.
That's true, that's true.
You know, and so I was supposed to buy stew meat. And then my father said, now you go to town and get that meat and come back.
Didn't he line everybody up one by one?
Yeah, yeah.
happened?
And poor Aunt Babe was the last one. I was in the room because I was
Yeah, you
baby.
were too little.
Tita Lane was the first one in the room.
So each one went into the room on their own. Oh my gosh.
Oh, one.
And how dirty were
Can you
you?
imagine, can you imagine Tita
We
Babe?
wore jeans. We wore jeans.
So
Yeah.
you weren't dressed.
And we weren't dressed,
Properly.
you know, to
For
go.
They were playing outside having
Yeah.
fun.
And you
Yeah,
want to
well, in
go
those
to a
days,
funeral?
people went to the funeral
All
all
dressed.
dressed up and that.
Oh yeah, oh
And,
yeah.
and now, some people think that at funeral they come in shorts. Well, it's not the beach,
No.
you know?
No.
And
Just like Judge Judy. Where'd you think you were coming?
That's right.
yeah, you know, and so,
Did you go get the stew meat?
yeah.
Oh yeah,
That
she
was
got
just
this.
me. And that's the first meal I learned to cook is the stew.
Stew.
you know, and, but we learned to cook a little at home because, my mother and aunt, because she lived with us, they went to work and we were in charge of the house. We did the housework and they, when we were a lot younger, they gave us one match to light the stove.
And if you did it again.
And if it didn't, that was it. And then, and so then that was for our, to
Boy, that
cook
would be
the
nervous.
stew.
What if
Uh-huh.
we won't eat for 2 days?
Yeah, and then they would come home at noon, so if probably when the match went out and we didn't have it, when they came home at noon, they lit
Give
it.
you another one.
Yeah, so, but it was, we were 11 cousins, and we grew up like brothers. Right now, Mary Garcia that lives here in Sacramento was our neighbor, and she could tell you how we grew up. She said you people, your family grew up like brothers and sisters, not like cousins and, you know. And so it was a time, a wartime too also. And we saved silver paper, you know, foil.
Uh-huh.
We saved foil, and we saved cans, and we saved, what else did we save? There was something else that we saved, I can't remember now. But we were always helping our nation, always.
For the war
And
effort.
Yes,
for the
okay.
war effort. And we didn't buy bonds because we didn't have any money. So we couldn't really buy bonds, but my father worked 12 hours and 7 days a week. And it was a lot of hardship on my dad.
During the war, it was rough,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No nylon.
Because who was living in the house? It would tell.
The what?
Who was living in the house?
Because
It was you,
It was,
Aunt Babe,
and
Amelia, or
And
not.
Amelia and Amelia and Aunt Dolores didn't move out until she was a junior in high school.
Oh.
And then they found their own place. Because Auntie was scared of her shadow, so. And, but wartime was a time when we did have fun in a way. Because we met a lot of people. We met a lot of service personnel. Our house had a
sailors.
lot of service personnel. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because we were, I think, how many girls?
What do you mean, how many girls? What do you mean with Amelia and all that?
Amelia and
Cousin Annie,
And-
Amelia, you,
cousin Annie, cousin Lorraine, Sally, and then Elaine used to come.
and you.
Well, tell them
and
the
Baker.
story about when you were coming home from Jackson.
No, they were going, weren't they?
No, we're coming home.
Oh, really? Oh, I love that story.
Yeah.
We were coming home from Jackson.
All you girls.
And Mundo was in the car
Oh, okay.
too. And we were coming home from Jackson. In those days, servicemen, everybody hitchhiked in those days.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we were going through Tracy,
Uh-huh.
and we had a back way that we could go through Tracy.
Uh-huh.
So we picked up this sailor. We thought, oh, we'll pick him up and give him a ride.
But you already had a pretty full car.
Yeah, we had a full car. So, because we knew how to speak Spanish, we,
He was in
My-
the back seat?
yeah, he was in the back. Well, it was a Rebel C car.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, and so Cousin Amelia said, this guy is getting fresh.
In Spanish?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
grabbing
Oh.
on Amelia.
And so Tita Lane stopped the car and we
She was
hauled them out.
driving.
They told him to get out
Get out.
Uh-huh.
and left him out in the
And
woods.
that was the worst place to get
Tita
out.
Lane was driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the poor guy? Oh,
It was very
Jesus,
early
he just wanted to
car.
grab a little bit.
Just wanted a little cheat.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you hit the wrong person.
He hit the wrong group of women.
Now
Probably-
Sally maybe would have said okay.
He probably called all his buddies and said, "Don't let these women pick you up."
Oh my God.
Yeah, we were brought up very naive.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah. Speaking in plain English, yeah. Yeah, we didn't know
You
the
probably
facts
just
of
put his
life.
arm around her waist or something. She thought he was grabbing some.
Oh, he touched my
Oh, I love that.
shoulder. Yeah,
And they on Saturday nights used to go get dressed to go dancing.
go dancing. After
Your
we
grandma.
worked, we worked
Now,
8
this is
hours.
in Sunnyvale?
We worked 8
Yeah, at Grandma's
yeah.
house.
Uh-huh.
We worked 8 hours in the cannery,
Uh-huh.
and then we came home. We took a shower and got dressed.
Uh-huh.
So let me tell this part of the story because I loved it because I was little and I used to love it. There was your grandma, Tita,
Uh-huh.
Babe, and my neighbor across the street, Carmen.
Carmen.
And they'd get all gussied up, no nylons because it was during the war.
Uh-huh.
And so they put this stuff on like
Oh, the
makeup.
lines, the
Yeah.
lines straight
And then they'd stand on the dining room table and somebody would run the line down the back. I thought that was the funnest thing in the world. I could hardly wait to do it. And then they'd go off dancing.
up. Uh-huh.
Of course, if Grandpa gave them money, say $5, let's just
Uh-huh.
say $5 each, and they got some guy to pay their way in, and they would keep the $5, but guess who would bring the $5 back to Grandpa?
The brown noser.
The
Well,
brown
nobody paid my way, so.
Nobody paid her way.
Oh, Mama.
Because she probably said, "Get the heck out of here!
You're getting too fresh.
You touched my arm."
You talked
Now,
to me.
now tell us about the story when great grandma came out in her jammies when they were
that
looking
was
for you girls.
Grandchild.
When
Oh,
And when Grandma and Tita Madeline came to the
No, it wasn't
no, it wasn't her.
Oh, it
Yeah,
was them.
I'll start
That
it
was
from the
Shirley's mother.
beginning.
Okay.
The union had a dance, and so Amelia, Mundo, and
now
myself,
who is
and
Mundo?
Amelia's
cousin
brother.
Oh, okay.
and
okay.
and myself and Lorraine and Elaine.
Okay.
Lorraine and Elaine had somebody to dance with. Well, the 4 of us were younger, so we didn't have. So we said, "Well, let's go to the movies." So we went to the movies.
Oh, because
But
nobody
the-
was dancing
No,
with you.
Aunt Elaine and Lorraine didn't come. Just the 4 of us.
You, Mundo.
And Amelia and that babe. Okay, so it got late, and they probably got home, and so here we said, "Ooh, look at those 2 old ladies there in their bathroom in their nightgowns." Well, it was Mother and Auntie walking. They
Yeah.
walked to town
Yeah.
in that get-up.
In their pajamas.
Yeah, the nightgowns. And then we come and we said, oh, we're going to get it. And it happened that Willie Carrillo stopped. He was our neighbor and picked us up. Took us home.
What about the 2 old
He
ladies?
took them home too.
All of us got in the car.
Poor old Willie.
He was such a good person.
So what did he
Willie.
say? Hey, did he pick them up first and then you guys? Or?
No. You see, they came to the corner of Armanini's, you know.
Uh-huh. That's a Murphy and Washington.
Well, Armanini's, not the store they had across the street, but the old one. In
Okay,
the corner.
yeah, in the corner.
Where Katie Jewelers.
Right.
Yeah, and so we never forgot that. But we never got scolded. I think they didn't want Father to know.
Oh, they kept you.
Oh.
Yeah,
But
but
great grandma
grandma,
had a habit of doing that, cause she
Uh-huh.
did it to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she didn't
Great.
want him to get upset.
Well, 7th grade dance, and I was with Shirley, my friend Shirley. And after the dance, we went to the creamery. Everybody went to the creamery.
Yeah,
to
that
have a
was
Coke
good.
and whatever.
I still wish
And
they had
laugh and talk
creameries.
and whatever. And pretty soon Shirley and I were there having fun. And this kid comes up and said, "Hey, girls." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Your mothers are out front." They were right in front of the creamery with their nightgowns on, sitting in the car like that. Geez, they could have parked down the street. They parked right in front of the creamery. Oh, how embarrassing. The two of them, so Shirley's mother drove. So.
But see, in those days, everybody knew everybody. Well,
Uh-huh.
you could take Loomis, you know,
Same
if
thing.
everybody,
Yeah,
and,
it's a
and,
small
and
Yeah.
everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, so you,
So they
you know.
knew who they were.
They knew that it was grandma.
Oh yeah, and all the kids knew Mama. Yeah.
Like I told somebody, we didn't need a phone because if you got in trouble downtown, they already knew it when we got home.
And you know the cops would pick you up, and they wouldn't take you to jail if you were drunk or a little. They'd take you home
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes, yeah,
because they knew everybody too. The
Yeah.
cops did, you know.
yeah.
Oh, like Carnation and her husband. What was his name?
Raphael.
Then you go downtown, get drunk, and they both be going down the street.
Carnation.
And they had his cane. How the hell they made it home?
I never knew the husband. I
Oh,
think he died
you
a
know
long
what?
time
He was a blind, but he remembered
He was
every.
blind?
He was blind, and he remembered everybody's birthday. On your
Yeah,
birthday,
you
you
brought
could
your
hear that
candy.
cane coming down the street, click, 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 and he had a candy bar for you.
Yeah, for you.
Aww.
Yeah,
everybody's birthday.
He knew us all by about how old we were.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
amazing. It was
He was
This
a
was a
very
neighbor?
intelligent
It was,
man.
her name was
But he got
Carnation
blind.
Herrero, and
Uh-huh.
she was a family friend who
Uh-huh.
also lived in the little house.
The little house
In the
behind
Oh,
grandma.
behind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Grandma used to get irritated with her.
Oh,
yeah.
Because grandma would go, I had a whole loaf of bread, now it's gone, because Carnation would come into grandma's house and take
Help
food.
herself. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, you know, that's part of our story.
mm-hmm. I love it.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of fun
We,
times.
we didn't, that, and going to the park was even better.
Oh, I love Washington.
Oh,
We had
yeah,
so
we
much
had a lot
fun
of
at
fun
the
there,
park.
huh?
Yeah.
Grandma would be there early in the
Yeah,
morning making
and then
the
the fire.
breakfast.
Well,
and-
putting the,
Well, and
the,
haven't didn't you do
the
paella there
tablecloth and
too?
saving the tables.
We
Yeah, she
didn't
did
do
it
a
early.
paella that much because paella is a very expensive
Expensive.
dish.
Uh-huh.
But, and at that time, Grandma didn't, they didn't know how to cook paella.
Uh-huh.
When,
They did
Dora-
arroz con pollo though.
Yeah, they did the rice and
Arroz con
chicken.
pollo,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
rice and
Rice
chicken.
and
Yeah,
chicken.
which
So
is
basically
similar.
the same, just
Basic,
without the
yeah.
But not as many ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when the people from New York, they learned how to cook the paella. When they came,
Oh,
they
that was,
taught them
Manuela's
how to
family.
cook it.
Oh,
Manuela.
she makes a paella to die for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Manuela.
Manuela's
Oh,
family.
Yeah.
God, her paella.
Yeah.
is
Her
excellent.
Manuela's family was from New York.
Well,
Or-
they
They
went.
from
They
Spain.
came. They went to New
Oh, okay.
York from Spain, and then they eventually came from New York
To
Sunnyvale.
to California. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
They came. Manuela's family came to Sunnyvale in 1940.
Okay. So how old were you in 1940?
I was in 8th grade.
Uh-huh. So that's when you met Manuela?
but see, our family already knew their family.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Because
So
Mama
they
had grown
came-
up
And they
with.
came
Yeah.
to be
They came specifically to be
be
with.
the
They
family.
came what?
They came to be with your family, right?
Well, they
Or-
came to be with a sister. She
Oh.
had a
Oh,
sister.
yeah. What was her name?
Uh,
Dulce. Dulce.
Dulce.
Yeah.
And so they came and they were poor like we were. You know, we were all poor. And what used to happen when people came like that, then Grandpa would take them to the grocery store and tell them, these are friends of mine and they're very conscious of paying their bills and that, so they
Yeah,
could get
credit.
credit.
Oh,
Yeah. And credit was only given like that in those days.
By word
There
of
was
mouth.
no credit
Yeah.
card.
No, word of mouth. It was just
Word of mouth.
I'd go from school, I'd go into the grocery store and buy what grandma told me to buy, and then I'd sign it, and away I'd go
Yeah.
every day. And then on Sunday morning, grandpa would get all dressed up in his slacks and shirt and that, and go down there and pay the bill. And he'd
Yeah.
come home with ice cream cakes and all this kind of fun
Yeah.
stuff, at Moreno's.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that kind of grocery store where you'd go in and get grapes, and you'd eat grapes along the way, and then get an apple and you'd eat that. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
fun.
hey,
His daughter, who is about 3 years or 4 years older than me, told me one time, she said, my father loved your family. He'd say to me, why can't you be like those Padilla girls?
Is that the Morenos?
Uh-huh. Carmen Moreno. She said,
Oh, okay.
her father loved us.
Oh.
Yeah, because the Moreno, the one,
the son, the son. You know, he always gives you a
he
kiss.
was
yeah.
there at the
Dennis.
Sunnyvale.
Dennis.
Yeah, he was there when I went with Mom to the
football
Sunnyvale
reunion
football
thing.
reunion.
Oh, yeah.
And Mom had said to me, oh, I'll know more people here than you. And I go, well, probably. But anyway, and I was saying that to my girlfriends there at the reunion. And so sure enough, when Mom was there with me, Dennis Moreno comes over and gives her a big hug and a kiss. And she goes, oh my God, she knows Mr. Sunnyvale? That's what she called him, Mr. Sunnyvale.
Mr. Sunnyvale, yeah, because Mr. Tino was Mr. Fremont.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, but in those days, you did know everybody in town.
Huh?
You'd walk to town. Even in 7th grade, we'd go to the movies at night. Just walk to the movies.
Yeah.
Go, come out.
Was
and
it still the same theater that it was?
Well, it's not a theater anymore. It's
But remember the one that
yeah,
we
it's
went
still
to?
the same
That
place,
was the
yeah.
same place.
and you'd walk downtown. Nobody'd bother you. You'd walk home
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. Shirley and I. Then we'd get to the corner. She'd go to her house. I'd go to mine. That was in.
Yeah.
You never
could go-
were afraid.
Yeah, you could go out at night and nobody bothered
So
you.
there was never any big crimes in Sunnyvale?
No.
The only
we
thing
never
was
even
in
locked our
Hearts,
doors.
when the Hearts
I didn't
had
know.
that kidnapping.
I didn't even know we had a key
Yeah.
until we'd leave to go on vacation someplace.
That
That
was-
Grandpa would lock the door. But that door was never locked.
Everybody
Yeah.
knew how to get in the house though.
Oh no.
Yeah, with the key was in that little hidden box.
What?
There was a little box on the
Oh,
inside
that
of the
was through
screen.
newspaper.
On the inside of the screen in the back door.
Oh, in the back door. I thought it was in that box that was down
Oh,
by the porch.
the little mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the
Yes,
roof
you're
box.
right, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Why was I thinking there was a
There
little
might have
box
been somebody
on the
else's.
screen? Okay, no.
Who else's house did you get into?
No, you're right, it was in the little mailman box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the mailman would put the bottles, or,
Oh, the milk bottles?
at one time, right?
Well, yeah, I used to have the milk.
There was
man.
like a little house built right on the little porch.
Well, see, they
railing.
used to deliver milk too.
Yeah, that's where the little key was.
I loved
Yeah.
that when the milkman would come and bring us milk
Uh-huh.
and eggs and whatever you wanted.
Uh-huh.
Uncle Joe used to be a milkman, which
Uh-huh.
was Aunt Babe's husband.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Those days are gone. They'll never be back.
No.
Never.
Well, Mom, what are we gonna do?
You know why? Because people have changed so much.
Well, even the Christmas Eve,
yeah.
it wasn't just our little family together. It was everybody in town
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and all our cousins and everybody come to our house.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But and Grandma loved to sing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and then
Really?
Grandpa would always invite a lot of people, and
Yeah.
Grandma was like trying to figure out how to feed everybody.
Oh,
yeah.
so it was Grandpa that was the party host?
Yeah.
Or wanting to?
When Aunt Babe was, I guess 3 or 4. Oh, she must have been about 4, or 5, and Grandma was working in the cannery, and Grandpa, wasn't working. He invited people, and Grandma says, "What am I going to feed them?" She had to go out, kill rabbits, because we had
I
rabbits.
mean, there's a pioneer woman, huh?
Yeah.
Go out, kill a
Skin
rabbit, skin it, chop it up and cook it.
And cook it. We all
my
knew how,
God.
we all knew how to skin a rabbit,
Yeah,
and
we
we all
did.
know how to kill a chicken.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And now I wouldn't kill one if they gave it to me.
Remember that
No.
time where my girlfriends and I, we were staying at Olivia's house because her mother and father had gone to Mexico. And we were kind of hungry and there had been this damn chicken running around the yard. I said, let's kill that sucker. And Loretta said, yeah, I know how to pluck it. So we did, we killed it.
You killed the chicken?
It was a rooster, we didn't know the. That's how
Then
smart
you know
we
the
were.
difference.
We boiled water, we stuck it in there and we picked all the feathers off, then we cut it and gutted it. We chopped it up and we fried it. That was the toughest piece of meat you ever had in your life. It was like eating this.
Aunt John, I can't believe you did that.
Oh yeah, and we were doing that. Loretta was making biscuits, and somebody else was making tortillas.
Oh my
Olivia's brother got so excited he started inviting all these guys over, and we had this big feast. Nobody could eat it. It was so
It was an old rooster.
And then we had to tell the father when he came home that we cooked his rooster.
Because everybody had one rooster. You know.
Sometimes
But-
you want to get rid of it.
But coming back, you know, my mother could have killed my father. You're
Because they
tired
wouldn't
of
advise.
working and having to
Come home and do that,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Aunt Dolores was living with us
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So the two of them, you know, and sometimes people came to from Hollister to San Francisco. Our house was a stopping point, and they would
The middle of
spend.
the-
yeah,
yeah.
they would stay there, and so.
And you guys already had 3 in a bed. Did you talk about that?
Yeah, we slept in the couch when we lived on McKinley.
I
Elaine,
never
Babe,
lived there.
and I. No, you didn't live there.
I never lived
And
there.
Auntie Dolores had a bedroom with her 2 children,
Mm-hmm.
and then Grandpa and Grandma had a bedroom.
Were
So
they in
you
the
had
back?
a maid too, and I laughed because when I came to it, when you guys lived in Citrus Heights, you
Uh-huh.
had a bed, and
Uh-huh.
Nikki had a bed, and somebody else had a bed.
You had a bed.
And,
Was it your house?
And it says, well, I don't know where you're going to sleep. I slept on the couch. I says, I would have put the kid out there.
Well, it was a high bed.
Oh, it was a hide-a-bed.
But you didn't pull it.
Well, what the
I must have pulled it. Why would I not pull the bed out?
Well, you didn't, because I slept up when Nanny got sick.
Mother, that was made into a full bed because I could still picture you sitting there in that full bed.
I thought I maybe
Danielle was on the couch, that white couch. You were in the hide-a-bed because I could still remember when the
you
ambulance.
had a tremble bed, one
tremble
and one
I
out.
have
No,
one of the
Nanny,
ones
no, because Nanny, we didn't have the tremble bed out because Nanny fell out of the bed.
Oh,
and-
out of my
was,
bed,
Or
huh?
was trying to pack, because I could remember Danielle was on the couch and you were sitting in the big bed, the pull-out bed with your bonnet on.
Oh yes,
And do you remember her
I
in
remember
her bonnet?
you talking about it, and then I can kind of remember that.
And then here's the big fireman coming in through the front door and she's sitting there.
That's
And I
when Nanny
remember-
broke her hip, huh?
Yes, and I can remember clearly that bed was made. There was no reason not to pull out that bed, so you've been putting me down all these
Oh,
years.
yeah, she has, and she said you
Gosh,
slept
I
on it.
can't
Well,
even.
it might have been another day that I slept and didn't know you didn't open it. Maybe I said
There's
don't
no
open
way
it.
I, see, she says not to do something and then criticizes you.
Criticizes me. I love it. Jeez, you get you all bundled up there. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Ay, ay, ay.
So I'm sorry. Can I make it up to you?
No.
You got a bed down there.
You gotta be.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about your sleeping arrangements.
Oh.
Why?
You're sleeping on the couch.
You and Duke.
You and Duke. And the monkey, the kill.
Oh,
He really did kill it.
yeah, he's pretty killed. So Grandma has some pretty
No,
good stories.
but that those days are
over.
gone.
I
They'll never
know.
be the same.
I hate it when you say that sometimes because I always feel like we don't have anything to look forward to. But, you know,
Well, I think what she really means is when
was
we
good
look
times.
forward to the holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving because we always knew that our house would be full with joy and
Yeah.
friends and family.
Yeah.
And goodies.
And a
but
lot of
remember, while you were happy, your mama was probably beat.
Oh yes, she was.
Yeah.
She was
Oftentimes
She
tired.
was probably beat and tired, Grandma.
Yes, yes. We knew it because she had the idea of going down the basement, Grandma.
Oh, yeah, it's up and down the basement.
and bringing food down and things like
Yeah,
that.
because, yeah.
You know?
Because we didn't have a dumb waiter.
Yeah.
Don't wait. I always think of that picture that hung above the bar about the lady's panties falling down.
What?
What? Downstairs?
I don't remember.
There's a picture that, well, Tita Lane gave it to Carol's parents for their bar. But it was some, the dog was
The dog was
biting the
falling off.
lady's panties.
It was a famous picture. It was advertising something, and I don't know what
Yeah.
it was now.
Like copper tone.
Yes, something like Coppertone, yeah.
But the little dog was biting on her panties and she had a dress on and she was
Oh,
going,
okay.
"Ooh,"
yeah, you know.
like this
yeah.
and her little cheek was showing.
Yeah.
So Tita Lane gave it to some family that had a bar and they
Uh-huh.
put the picture up in their bar. And I remember, Mom, you were being all upset. But when we were kids and we used to see that picture, we used to go, "Ooh, look at that, look at that."
Where the men are watching baseball.
They went down to
Yeah.
watch the game.
I remember one time Tita Lane and I decided to go down in the basement and clean out the basement. See, and there was a bunch of stuff of hers down there. But we said, oh, what is that? Ooh, those are ugly. Throw them in the truck. Throw them. So we headed to the dumps. Well, while we were going to the dumps, we didn't realize it, but one of the damn
Lampshades.
lampshades flew out. It was chartreuse green.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't notice it, and we went to the dumps, and we came back, we got home, and here she comes. She goes, what happened to my lampshades? Well, what lampshades? We don't know nothing about any lampshades. She said, that's funny, because I found one on the way back.
On Matilda.
On Matilda, I threw it out on the side of the road.
They said,
Yeah.
well, look at that, so it looks like one of our lampshades.
They were like a Chinese gal or something,
yeah,
or
Chinese.
Polynesian or something. When I got married, I think about this so often. When I got married, and the photographer came to the house, right? Okay,
Uh-huh.
I want you to picture our living room.
Great grandma's living room.
Uh-huh. The rug was gray with green in it,
Uh-huh.
dark green, and the drapes were, I don't know, they were gray with bird of paradise and red something or other.
Yeah.
And the couch was pink and black. Oh my God, there was so damn many colors in that living room.
Were the pictures black and white or were they colored?
The what?
Were the pictures black and white?
Black and white, yeah. Thank
Oh.
God, honey, thank God.
I remember the curtains, those were up for a long time.
Oh my God, they were the worst curtains. And then
And a purple house.
one time she left. And remember, went on a trip and we painted the house for her. And she didn't like it when she came home. She didn't like the colors we picked.
Oh.
That's when this one wanted to paint. Said, I want to paint. Okay, go paint over there. Paint that over there. So she painted for a little bit. She said, no, I don't like this anymore. I don't like this. I don't
I
want to
don't
do
like painting.
I don't. Okay, well, go cook. Okay, so she went in the kitchen and cooked, and then
Is
she
that
got.
when you guys cooked all of those chickens that Dad got from FMC?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that when we did it?
That, no.
Well, one time I remember that.
We cooked them, yeah.
Okay.
Because we could go down the basement and get a chicken. Because
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell Danielle
They're
the
just
story
the-
that Grandpa worked at FMC.
What's
and they
that?
were a food
Food
machinery
machinery.
corporation.
Oh, okay.
He worked for ESSL, Engineering Systems, a part of food machinery.
Subsidiary,
then.
yeah.
And they did a lot of experimental, like sorters and things like that. So that's what they were doing with the chicken.
It was
Oh,
a
okay.
chicken gutter, so the chickens would be killed and plucked.
Uh-huh.
And they would come down a conveyor belt and some equipment would
Yeah,
and pull out and gut them. So the machinery kept breaking down, so Grandpa would bring home all the chickens that hadn't been gutted
well, and not
because
only Grandpa, anybody.
other people,
Yeah.
They got to
because
share.
and so then he'd bring them home and then the two of them would gut them and then clean
We
them up
had
and
a
then freeze
freezer
them.
down there.
Oh, yes,
And
you did, a
freeze
big
them.
freezer.
Yeah.
And they were so big, they were like turkeys. I remember
really?
because they wanted big ones so that
Well,
when
they had hens and
Uh-huh.
all.
So
you
then
know.
we had all these frozen. I mean, they were really good.
Yeah,
and then you cooked them for Grant
Yeah,
when we
yeah.
had the food after
Yeah.
painting.
And once they had, they brought in a lot of crab. Well, somebody used to go to Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
And then they would bring the crab, but they didn't do anything with the crab.
Oh, okay.
They just, you bought it, you know.
Oh, they didn't give it to you?
No, it wasn't for any experiment.
Oh, I see what you're
It
saying.
was
They
just
somebody
someone
brought
that
it
used
in.
to
Yeah.
go. And so, but
Food Machinery used to make the tanks for the Army.
Uh-huh.
That's what they did
Oh.
there. And recently, the plant closed, and they were going to put that earthquake stadium there for the soccer players, the professional soccer players from
Mhm.
San Jose. And they were digging, and they
Oh,
found
in the land.
in the land they found like ammunition and stuff buried there. So they had to stop the building until somebody came in, and they found somebody that had worked at FMC to come and tell them where everything was buried and that.
Why
So
would
they
they have
Oh,
had
my.
ammunition buried there?
I guess they used the ammunition to put in the tanks to do a trial run.
Wow.
Yeah.
I kind of remember you telling the story.
Yeah, so then they brought somebody in and they dug it all up,
Wow.
and then they continued to finally build the stadium, which is a very nice stadium.
Mm.
well, there was
Grandpa
you know
worked
where
there for a long time.
Yeah.
where CMA was. Then they
Yeah.
brought a
Yeah.
singer.
Singers,
Yeah,
and then it's
and it was
fries now.
ammunition.
Oh,
Because you know who worked there? B. Ariza.
Oh, she did?
She worked there, and they had you know, those things exploded too.
Mhm.
And she was working, and one exploded. You know,
Oh,
it
on
was
her.
small. It wasn't a big explosion, and yeah, she worked there for a while. Yeah, it was
There
right
was a
there
lot
with
of stuff
CMA. Well, you went to buy your dress with someone that was a good buyer.
Who?
Well,
Her friend.
what happened was
She looked like those from Bricks and
CMA
Rack.
would be like a Walmart now.
Okay.
And it was the first time that they had a store that you could go and you could buy, I don't know if you bought groceries, but it was like everything.
No groceries.
No groceries, but everything in one store.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so I was in 6th grade and Grandma had bought me this little, for the end of the school year, you could wear shorts and a top to school. And Grandma had bought me something that was probably real cute. But this one girl that was in my 6th grade class said, oh, let's go to CMA and we can both get a dress, something, we'll buy something that's the same and we could wear it
Uh-huh.
together. So I said, okay, knowing that Grandma had already bought me something. So we bought these dresses and we paid $1 each. I think it was cheap. And I brought it home and I said, well, this is what I'm gonna wear. And they were having, and I kept saying, but this girl, she's got good taste.
Yeah,
She's got good taste. And so when I got the dress up, it was a big woman's blouse, but we thought it was a dress. The darts for the boobs were way down here. Remember, the darts, and they kept going, oh yeah, she's got real good taste. She's got good taste. So on the day of the last day, the girl wore hers, but I didn't wear mine, and she was upset with me because I had to wear the shorts or whatever.
The girl wore hers like that with the darts and everything hanging down, or?
Yeah,
Oh dear.
but she looked good in it.
But she had good taste.
She had good taste. I remember she had her hair, and she had a big like rat nest, a beehive
Oh,
thing
yeah.
here, like this, and then the ponytail, and it would come down like this, and her name was Dorothy.
Oh, cute.
And I just, because she, because we didn't rat our hair or anything,
No.
and then she came, and then she had it styled like this, and she lived over off of Cypress or one of those streets
Yeah.
there. But I remember, because I was trying to convince my mother to let me wear it, because I said, but she's got good taste.
We took it back.
For $1? Did
Yeah.
we take it back?
Why didn't you give it to somebody?
Well, that was
That could have done that. I don't.
well, that was
remember.
probably my dollar
Get it back.
from babysitting for
Yeah.
a whole day.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm gonna go to bed.
Okay, she's gonna cut.
I think I'm about ready for bed too.
You what?
I think
I'm
I'm
ready
about
for
ready
bed
for
too.
bed.
I got a lot to do this weekend.
And then they got a wedding tomorrow, and
Oh,
then they
who's
got
getting
Easter
married?
on Sunday.
Katie's sister.
Tinley.
Oh, she's getting